Welcome back to the Fame Files. We're on episode... No.
3.
3 already.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. And this time, we're diving into a show that's at People Talking The Recruit.
Yeah.
Season 2 on Netflix.
Yeah.
And, we've got some really great sources to work with this time. A critic's review comparing this season to the first one. And then also in-depth interviews.
Oh, nice.
With the creator, Alexi Hawley.
Okay.
And the stars, Noah Centineo and Teo Yu.
Yeah, those should be interesting. I'm excited.
Yeah. So what really jumped out at me from the critics' review was the big difference in scores between the two seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Critics seem to really love season 2, giving it a big 83% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Which is a big jump from the 68% that season 1 got.
Okay, so a pretty big jump.
Yeah. And the audience scores, they weren't as dramatic, but still pretty positive.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? What do you make of that?
Well, it seems like The Recruit isn't the only spy show that's seeing this kind of like a boost in popularity for its second season. The Night Agent, also on Netflix, it had a similar jump too.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, is there something about like this genre that's just really connecting with audiences right now?
Yeah. Is it just escapism, or is there like a deeper cultural thing going on?
Right.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe it's that whole ordinary person thrust into extraordinary circumstances thing.
Oh, yeah.
That trope.
Yeah.
Both The Recruit and The Night Agent.
Yeah.
They both feature protagonists who are kind of out of their depth.
Right.
In these like really high stakes government situations.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's relatable in a way, especially when the world feels so unpredictable these days.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you think that's part of the appeal for you? Like, is that...
I think so, yeah. I mean, definitely there's that element of like escapism, but also kind of like that, what would I do? Like, put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
But you know what sets The Recruit apart for me, I think, is that it has this like comedic edge to it. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
Which I think is maybe why it's connecting with like a wider audience.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I mean, we can't forget Noah Centineo.
Oh, yeah.
And his undeniable charm.
He's very charming.
Like, he was already a Netflix favorite. But this show, I think, really solidifies him as like a leading man.
Leading man material for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and that kind of visibility that he's getting from the show, it usually means like more opportunities, more projects, all that good stuff for actors. Speaking of which, the interview with Alexi Hawley, the creator of the show, it gives some really fascinating insights into the decisions behind season 2.
Okay, cool. So one of the things we need to address right away is the shorter season.
Yeah.
So it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Compared to 8 in season 1.
Yeah.
What's the story there? Did you find anything out about that?
Yeah, so it turns out it was actually Netflix's decision to make it shorter.
Oh, okay.
But what's really interesting is that Hawley didn't really see it as a negative thing.
Oh.
Like, he actually said he embraced it.
Okay.
He saw it as like a chance to make the storytelling even tighter.
Interesting.
More focused.
So a creative pivot.
Yeah.
Instead of like a compromise.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
It is a good reminder that, there's these power dynamics in the streaming world.
Yeah.
And that sometimes like creative decisions are influenced by the platform.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's really interesting.
And the interview also revealed that a pretty significant character backstory was cut.
Oh, really?
Because of the shorter season.
Okay.
Remember Nichka?
Yes.
The bad guy introduced at the end of season 1.
Right.
We don't really learn that much more about her this season.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. Like, I was curious about her background.
Yeah.
Did he talk about what his original plans for her were?
He did. So Hawley's initial vision for Nichka was like a deep dive into her past.
Okay.
She was going to have like a Russian mob family and like a shocking truth about her mother.
Wow.
It sounds like it would have been a pretty big reveal.
Yeah, that's interesting. It makes me wonder, like, do you think it's better to have that air of mystery around a character? Or would you have preferred to know more about her motivations?
Oh, that's a good question.
Right.
Sometimes I think a little mystery can be more captivating.
Yeah.
It keeps you guessing.
For sure.
And to be fair, Hawley did assure fans that Nichka's story isn't over.
Okay.
He sees her as like this chaos agent.
Okay.
Just like Owen. So it definitely seems like she could come back in season 3.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Which is a classic way to keep people watching, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. That whole, like, will they or won't they return is definitely a good way to keep people hooked.
For sure. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about Owen Hendrix.
Okay.
The main character.
Yeah.
He's gone through a lot in these 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Hawley described Owen's arc in this season as him trying to grow up.
Right.
You know, like grappling with the consequences of his actions.
Yeah. I feel like there's this conflict, though, because he says that he doesn't want to become jaded.
Right.
But his actions kind of suggest otherwise.
Yeah.
Especially towards certain characters. What are your thoughts on that?
Totally. I think you can definitely see that tension in him playing out throughout the whole season. Like, a great example of that is his conversation with his ex-girlfriend, Hannah.
Right.
There's like this harshness to him, almost a ruthlessness that we didn't see in season 1.
Totally. It's like a different Owen.
Right. Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, is that like intentional character development? Or is it like a sign that he's kind of like losing himself?
Right. Yeah.
And this like shadowy world he's in.
And you know, it's interesting because Hawley mentioned that Owen only fires a gun once in the entire season.
Really?
Yeah. Which seems like it was done on purpose.
That's crazy.
Right. Like to go against that typical action hero thing.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
And instead, like all of his wins come from his intelligence.
Right.
And how he can like maneuver through these tricky situations. Not just by using brute force.
Yeah, it's a more like nuanced take on the spy genre.
For sure.
Makes you think about what we want from our heroes now.
Totally.
Like, do we still want to see the big action sequences?
Yeah.
Or are we more drawn to characters who are using their brains as much as they use their brawn?
Right. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think maybe it shows like a cultural shift.
Yeah.
That we're looking for more complex, more human heroes.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of complex dynamics. Yeah. The interview with Noah Centineo and Tae Yoo, who plays Jang Koon, the Korean intelligence officer.
Right.
It reveals this like really fascinating chemistry that they have off screen.
Their chemistry is electric.
Oh, it totally is.
Yeah.
And they both talked about it. They said that they had like this instant connection, this like brotherhood that started during their first virtual read.
Right.
And then it continued through filming.
That's so cool.
It is. And Jang Koon, I love his character.
He's great.
He's like a man of few words, but he's got this intense loyalty.
Yes.
He's willing to do anything for his wife.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And it's a stark contrast.
Yeah.
Owen's like impulsiveness.
Yeah, for sure.
And his tendency to kind of like rely on other people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of highlights.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite scene? I really loved the fight scene.
Oh, the nightclub.
Yeah, the brawl in the Korean nightclub.
That scene was amazing.
It was so good.
It was like the perfect blend of action and humor.
Yeah, and it really shows off like Owen Jang Koon's fighting skills.
Yes, it was so good.
It was a great scene.
And we can't forget Owen's love life.
Oh, right.
Like it's a roller coaster this season.
Totally. He still has feelings for Hannah.
Right.
But then there's this spark.
Yeah.
With Yoojin.
Yes.
It seems like he's attracted to like strong, independent women. But he also seems scared of commitment.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe because he's seen how easily relationships can fall apart in his line of work.
Right, right. It makes you wonder if he's actually ready for a relationship.
Totally.
Or if he's still just trying to figure out who he is in all of this chaos.
It's a good question. Do you think that's part of it? Like that he's still trying to figure himself out?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a connection there.
Yeah.
And Hawley doesn't make it easy for us.
No, she doesn't.
Like he leaves everything so ambiguous at the end of the season.
It's like he wants us to keep guessing.
Yes. It's brilliant, though.
Yeah.
It definitely keeps you hooked.
Absolutely.
And wanting to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, like, after all of this, is Owen really looking for a partner?
Right.
Or is he still trying to figure out who he is in this world of espionage?
It's a question that resonates on a deeper level, I think.
For sure.
Even if our lives aren't quite as action-packed as Owen's.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still something I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's fascinating how the recruit takes those familiar spy thriller things and kind of like flips them on their head.
Right.
It's not just about the action and the, intrigue. It's really about the characters and the choices that they make in this world where it's hard to tell that's right and wrong.
And season 2 really dives into like the consequences of Owen's actions.
Yes, definitely. Like remember in season 1, he was so like eager to prove himself, even if it meant breaking the rules.
Right.
Now he's starting to see that like those choices have like real effects on other people.
Right.
It's not just about paperwork anymore. He's actually impacting people's lives.
Totally.
And sometimes those impacts are bad.
Yeah, it's like he's constantly being pulled in these different directions. Like he wants to do the right thing.
Right.
But he's also trapped in this web of like secrets and lies and betrayals.
Exactly. And it's not just him either.
Right.
It seems like everyone around him is playing this dangerous game.
Yeah, even his mentor.
Oh, yeah.
Walter Nyland.
Right.
Has his own agenda.
Yeah, that betrayal was like a huge turning point.
It was.
For Owen, it really like messed up his sense of trust.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially coming from someone he looked up to.
Exactly. It's that classic spy thing, right?
Yeah.
Don't trust anyone.
Right.
Especially the people closest to you.
Yeah. But in The Recruit, it feels even more personal.
Yeah.
Because Owen is still so new to this world.
He's not like jaded yet.
Right. He still has that idealism.
Yeah.
Which I think makes his journey all the more compelling.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, like, will he be able to hold on to that?
Yeah.
Or will he become cynical like everyone else?
Right. And speaking of darkness, there's that scene where Owen confronts Max's daughter, Nichka.
Yeah.
And he's so cold and calculating, almost menacing. Like, we haven't seen that side of him before.
No, it's a totally different Owen.
Did that moment stand out to you, too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, there's this look in his eyes, this hint of, like, ruthlessness that wasn't there before.
Right. It's like he's either embracing the darkness or it's like poisoning him from the inside.
Yeah, I think it's like a visual representation of that struggle that he's going through all season. Like he wants to be the good guy, but he's forced to do these things, make these compromises.
Totally. And it's not just his professional life.
Right.
His personal relationships are also super complicated.
Yeah. Definitely. Like the dynamic between Owen and Jang Kyun.
Yes.
They start off as enemies, but then it becomes something more, I don't know if I'd call it friendship, but...
There's definitely a respect.
Yeah.
Maybe even like a camaraderie that develops.
Like that buddy cop thing.
Yeah.
But with a twist.
Right.
Because they're both really skilled.
Yeah.
But their approaches are so different.
Totally. Owen is impulsive and relies on his charm.
Right.
While Jang Kyun is much more like methodical, reserved, always thinking a few steps ahead.
And yet they like complement each other.
Yeah.
They learn from each other, both professionally and personally.
Yeah. It's that unlikely pairing that makes their scenes together.
Totally.
So interesting.
Oh, and speaking of interesting.
Yeah.
That fight in the Korean nightclub.
Oh, my God.
Cinematic gold.
It was so good.
That scene was fantastic.
It was the perfect blend of action, humor, and that underlying tension between them.
It's a testament to the show's ability to blend those genres.
Totally.
You're like on the edge of your seat.
But you're also laughing. What did you think of that scene?
Oh, I loved it. It was definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah.
And it's not just the action. It's how they work together. They have each other's backs.
Totally.
Even though they're so different.
Yeah.
I think it really says a lot about their relationship.
And Owen's love life.
Oh, right.
Talk about a roller coaster.
It's a mess.
He still has feelings for Hannah.
Yeah.
But then there's this chemistry with you, Jen. It's clear that he's drawn to strong, independent women.
Right.
But it also seems like he's scared of commitment.
I think so.
Maybe because he's seen how easily relationships can just fall apart.
Right. Especially in his line of work.
Right.
It makes you wonder if he's even ready for a relationship at all.
Right. Do you think that Owen's search for love is connected to his search for himself?
I think that's a really good point. It's like he's looking for someone to ground him, to give him a sense of normalcy in this crazy life.
And Hawley doesn't make it easy for him.
He really doesn't. All those loose ends
at
the end of the season.
It's brilliant, though.
It is. It keeps us guessing about what could happen.
Totally. And speaking of cliffhangers.
Oh, yeah.
We need to talk about that ending.
Owen
on top of the submarine.
Yeah.
That little smile that fades so quickly.
It's such a powerful image.
It is. It perfectly captures his inner turmoil.
Yeah.
Like he's just pulled off this amazing rescue.
But
you can tell he knows it's not over.
Yeah.
And we, the audience, we know that the CIA is planning to frame him for everything.
It's so much tension.
It is.
You're rooting for him.
Yes.
But you're also terrified for him.
It's so good.
It's such a good ending.
It leaves you wanting more.
It does. It really shows how the show can balance those funny moments
Yeah.
with the suspense and the emotional stuff.
Yeah. It's like the classic hero's journey,
Yeah.
but with a modern, cynical twist.
Totally. And those last few moments,
Yeah.
they really get at the question that's been there all season.
What's that?
Will Owen give in to the darkness?
Right.
Or can he hold on to his idealism?
Such a good question.
It is. And I hope we get the answer in season 3.
Yes. And speaking of season 3,
yeah,
I think it's time to dive into what the sources said about the possibility of another season and what we might expect. So the recruit really knows how to leave us hanging.
They do.
Especially when it comes to Owen's fate.
Right.
But before we get into all that, did the interview say anything about whether Netflix has actually renewed it?
Well, there's nothing official yet.
Okay.
But both Hawley and Centineo seem pretty positive about the show coming back.
Yeah.
Hawley even hinted at some storylines.
Oh, really? Like what?
He said he wants to dig deeper into the CIA and like the power dynamics there, especially after what we learned about Walter Nyland.
Right, yeah.
So it sounds like Owen might get caught up in even more conspiracies and betrayals.
It makes you wonder if he'll ever be able to trust anyone in that world.
And remember how Nichka's story just kind of ended?
Right.
Hawley said she might come back and maybe become even more of a chaos agent than Owen.
Okay, so I'm curious. What do you think their dynamic would be like?
Ooh, that's a good question.
If they both come back for season 3?
I think it could be explosive.
Oh, yeah.
Like they could constantly try to outsmart each other.
Totally.
But maybe they'd actually find some common ground.
Oh, that's interesting.
And team up.
Against like a shared enemy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Either way, I think it would be so good.
It would be so good. And then there's the whole romantic thing.
Right. All the unresolved stuff.
Yeah. Will Owen and Hannah get back together?
Yeah.
Or will he and Eugen explore that new connection? I'm honestly torn.
Me too.
Both relationships have so much potential.
Yeah, and Hawley did that on purpose.
Right.
He left it open.
It's fun to think about.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Exactly. I think it reminds us that even in this world of spies and secrets, human connection is still so important.
Totally. And The Recruit does a really good job of exploring that.
It does. It's what makes the show so relatable.
Right.
Even with all the crazy action and the international stuff.
At its heart, it's a story about people trying to figure out who they are and where they belong. In this world, it's always changing.
Yeah. And it's a show that works on so many levels.
Right.
It's thrilling. It's funny.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the choices we make and like the consequences of those choices.
Right. I'm with you. I definitely want more.
Me too.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep an eye out for any news about season 3.
For sure. And if it happens, we'll be back here.
Oh, yeah.
On the Fame Files. We'll break it all down.
Absolutely. But for now, what are your big takeaways from this season?
Yeah. What are you hoping to see if it comes back?
Right.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we love hearing from you.
We do.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay curious.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for more deep dives into the world of pop culture.